Live for Final Jeopardy. We'll get set for...
Have to boil it for 20 minutes first. And they brought in another important convenience, porta potties, for visitors to the town's antique stores, as well as residents who don't have cisterns. Mayor Harold Reeves says it's going to be inconvenient. And the problem is, with the broken water main under floodwaters, there's no way to get to it fixed.
Till the water disappears, we can't do a thing.
That could be a while.
Well, depends on the weather. Yeah, it could go on for 2, 3, 4 weeks. We don't know.
Imagine having to do without tap water for 2 to 4 weeks. Wendell, that's a lot of trips downtown to the porta potty.
You know, you're right, Leanna. Thanks for the report.
Well, today's sunshine was also a blessing for those who live and work along area rivers. News 5's Russell Kinsall is in Newshawk, flying above the Missouri River in Wellington, Missouri. Russell, what can you see from your vantage point?
Right here at Wellington, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. Here is the river off to the north of Wellington, and let me just pan over and show you what it looks like. The town is almost completely surrounded by water. Sorry about that. Moved the camera the wrong direction. But there are a lot of farm fields out here that are just flooded. There are farmhouses that are surrounded by water. Today, there you can see Wellington. The good news today is the river has crested here at this level and should start to go down. But let me show you where the real problem has been. The Corps of Engineers, I talked to them today, and they said that the problem has been that 31 levees between Kansas City and St. Louis have failed. 24 are threatened. We know it's a lot of rain, but the levees just didn't do the job of holding the water back, and that's why the water has gone beyond these levees and towns like Wellington, Camden, Lexington. But the good news is the river is on its way down. The problem here is that a bunch of people have had to evacuate their homes. No homes, though, have been flooded at this point. They got out as a precaution. Some roads are closed, though, and that would be 24 has one lane that's closed, also, which is a problem for people driving between Richmond and Lexington. Also, Highway 13, the bridge over the river is closed, but the good news is the river has crested and is on its way down, so hopefully the water will go down and these people can move back in soon.
But already there's been so much damage from all of the flooding that it's going to take a while for those cities and towns to really regain what they had before.
The real risk is that the river has reached a higher level in May of 1995 than it did in May of 1993. Certainly the worst came in July of 93, but we're setting ourselves up for another bad summer if we get a big heavy rain later on.
Hopefully not. Thanks, Russell.
You bet.
Meantime, Missouri's Attorney General is criticizing the Army Corps of Engineers for the way it handled the rising Missouri River. Jay Nixon says the Missouri flooding would be less severe if the Corps had more responsible policies. Nixon says the Corps is releasing too much water from upstream dams and reservoirs, and that's creating more flooding problems downstream in St. Louis and St. Charles. The Corps maintains the water release plan helps protect wildlife.
Wrapping up what we know at this hour, the second house that remains in a state of collapse is still standing. Officials say they will tear it down once they stabilize the ground underneath.
And in Napoleon, Missouri, folks may be without water for days to come. The flooding damaged their water system, and high water is keeping workers from getting to it for repairs. We'll check in with Gary Amble a little later to see what's next.
In other news tonight, a 2-day trip to Kansas City got off to a very bad start for a tour group from Oklahoma City. One of the group's buses rear-ended the other at Choteau and Parvin Road this afternoon. Firemen had to pry the door open on the rear bus. A number of people on board complained of aches and pains, and several were taken to the hospital.
Kansas City School District is taking action after a teenage boy was killed by a school bus that ran over him. 15-year-old Ryan Sales died Wednesday after his jacket got caught in the bus door. The bus pulled away. Ryan ran alongside, but he tripped and fell under the back wheels. Records show the bus driver did not receive proper training or certification. He had also received 3 traffic tickets in the past 2 years. School district officials say they're now checking records of all their 1,100 bus drivers.
Kansas City police arrested a man for the shooting deaths of 2 people found in Troost Lake. The bodies of 47-year-old Barbara Miller and 47-year-old John Guido Jr. were found Monday in a car submerged in the lake. Police say the suspect, who hasn't yet been charged, was related to Miller and recently moved in with the couple. Police believe the suspect first shot Guido, then waited for Miller to come home, and then shot her.
Still ahead on News 5 at 5, a living memorial to those killed in the Oklahoma City bomb blast. We'll show you Kansas City's special tribute.
And an incredible scientific discovery. We'll show you how this 25-million-year-old bacteria may someday help you.
Well, I'm just north of the river at Candy Sneed's house. She has some unusual plants, like this pregnant onion. I'll talk about that. Plus, will Kansas City be looking at clouds this weekend? That's in my forecasts coming up.
And I'm William Jackson live at Kauffman Stadium. I'll have a preview of the Royals-Oakland game coming up later in the show.
Traffic is really getting busy out here. One location is jammed. It's Chrysler Plymouth rush hours. Because now Chrysler is giving its dealers cash on every minivan, and that could lower your price. So on top of $1,000 cash back, you could save even more on Voyager, Grand Voyager, and Chrysler Town & Country. Whether you buy or lease, forget about big down payments. Now there's big dealer cash instead. This is one traffic jam you don't want to miss. For cashback savings and factory-to-dealer payments, it's rush hours at the Chrysler Plymouth Minivan store.
I've seen it before, and I can't wait to see it again.
I'm going to see it for the first time.
What everybody's saying you gotta see is Presley's Jubilee in Branson. Presley's Jubilee was the original music and comedy stage show on Branson's 76 Country Boulevard. And it's still the show everybody says you gotta see.
Every time I see it, I get so excited.
You got to see it. Case Paul, when you're in Branson, you gotta see it. Presley's Jubilee, Branson's favorite family show.
He killed her policeman husband. Now he's written a book. His publisher says he's a gifted writer. Maybe, but should he profit from his crime? Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Do you want your car done right?
If you want your car to run right, you need to change more than your oil. You also need to change your air filter and your transmission and radiator fluids on a regular basis. At Jiffy Lube, we provide these services for thousands of cars every year because thousands of car owners know that the best way to avoid expensive repairs in the future is with inexpensive preventive maintenance now at Jiffy Lube. And now, thankfully, Jiffy Lube also does windshield chip repair.
By now, everybody knows what a Honda Accord looks like. Real pretty, isn't it? Well, your Honda dealer has found a way to make it even more attractive by offering 2.9% financing on the Accord EX. That's right, the top-of-the-line Accord EX. But I wouldn't wait too long to go see your Honda dealer because this offer only lasts through June 4th. And by then, even if you know what an Accord EX looks like, you just might not see any.
Today is the one-month anniversary of the bombing in Oklahoma City. And today in Kansas City, two special ceremonies. At the Veterans Hospital, a dogwood tree was planted for the bombing victims. The actual dedication took place at 9:02 this morning to coincide with the time the bomb went off. Then during the noon hour, a $27,000 check was given to Oklahoma City by federal employees from the Kansas City area. A federal official from Oklahoma City received the check.
People are pitching in from everywhere. The help that you give from the Kansas City area, as well as other locations, have helped us restore that service. So while I think it'll take a while to return to normalcy, we certainly are continuing to work, and the healing process is continuing.
Crawford says there are continuing discussions about a memorial to the victims of the blast, and he says it may be some time before another federal building is built.
And now it's time for today's student body question. The liver breaks down alcohol at the hourly rate of A, less than 1 beer, B, 2 beers, or C, 4 beers. Think about it and we'll give you the answer at the end of Family Health. In tonight's Family Health, an amazing discovery in a pine tree. Scientists in California say they awakened a bacteria from a 25-million-year sleep. The bacteria spore was found in the remains of a bee entombed in amber until it was recovered in a lab. Not only is the prehistoric microbe alive and well, it's producing a natural antibiotic that is being studied for any medical value. If this sounds familiar, it should. A similar scenario was at the heart of the film Jurassic Park. On our Family Health calendar this weekend, there are 2 events you may be interested in. A free screening clinic will be held tomorrow to identify children who can benefit from orthopedic and burn care. It will be held at the Ararat Shriners Temple at I-435 and Eastwood Traffic Way from 8 in the morning until noon. The free clinic is for any children under age 18. who have problems of the bones, joints, or muscles, or problems associated with healed burns. And on Sunday, learn how to protect your kids and how they can protect themselves at the 5th Annual Kids Safety Fair. Independence Regional Health Center is putting on the fair. It'll be from noon until 5:30 at Independence Center. Besides information on water and sun safety, your kids can tour a medevac ambulance and see Stella, the firefighting Dalmatian. And now the answer to today's student body question. The liver breaks down alcohol at the hourly rate of A, less than 1 beer, B, 2 beers, or C, 4 beers. The correct answer is A, less than 1 beer. Even if a person drinks only 2 beers an hour, he or she can become drunk because the amount of alcohol in the blood will increase faster than the liver can remove it. So it just takes a little bit.
Boy, it very little, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, remember that. Still ahead on News 5, the wonderful sounds of the Symphony Go on Tour. We'll take you along next.
And Gary Amble is north of the river to bring you more gardening tips. That and your forecast is just ahead.
The cost of living in America continues to go up. Yet the cost of leasing a Cadillac has just gone down. Right now, current Cadillac owners can lease a new DeVille for just $449 a month with $1,800 down. That's $50 less a month than it was 2 years ago. With so many things going up, you can count on Cadillac to bring the cost of luxury down.
Visit your Cadillac Group Cadillac dealer.
Coming up on the next Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. Get your week off to a great start. Don't miss the very talented Patricia Wettig. Then he took the gold medal in the Winter Olympics. Meet the incredible Dan Jansen. Next Live.
Catch Live Monday morning at 9 here on KCTV5.
From special gifts to terrific surprises, Crown Center has it.
There's no better place to find excitement than Jeep Adventure Days, a fun-filled savings event at your Jeep and Eagle dealer, where for a limited time, you can lease a Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for just $299 a month. Get a Jeep Cherokee Sport with over $1,300 in values, including no-charge air. Or get a great deal on the fun-loving Jeep Wrangler. But hurry, because while the adventures will go on, this event will not.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Create a whole new look. It's so easy with Dewberry coverlets from Pacific Linen. Choose from 3 summery colors, just $29.99 for the twin size. Here's a lighter weight summer fashion for your bed, quilted duvet covers. Choose from 4 styles, only $34.99 all sizes. The country look comes to life with selected handcrafted quilts. Beautiful, and only $39.99 for the twin size. Summertime decorating is so easy. Right now at Pacific Linen.
Over the past 3 years, Dodge has offered a choice of more new nameplates than anybody else. Here are 3 more new choices, but they aren't cars. They are 3 choices that make it easier for you to drive a new Dodge. Choose from generous cash incentives or exceptional interest rates or extremely low lease rates. The Dodge Buyer's Choice Sale. Why would you choose to buy anyplace else?
For your good news, a local music organization is taking its show on the road this week. The Kansas City Camerata is in the midst of an outreach program called the Camerata Caravan. News 5 Stan Carmack caught up with the orchestra in Kansas City, Kansas.
Actually, I only caught up with 10 of the musicians, but that's how they're doing it, breaking down into smaller groups to take their music into schools, organizations, and institutions. This audience is made up of students from the Kansas School for the Blind. The Camerata calls itself a chamber symphony. They have about 40 players, most of whom also play for the Kansas City Symphony.
Partly, the Kansas City Camerata was formed to create an important supplementary income for the Kansas City Symphony in order to encourage the talented musicians to stay and live in Kansas City.
Music director Rowe spends half his time in Kansas City. The other 6 months of the year belongs to the Boston Symphony, where he is assistant conductor. But while the Boston Orchestra is huge, the smaller size of this orchestra is important.
Part of our aim is to make the music a little more authentic sounding and attempting to present the symphonies as the composers would have heard them.
That's because many of the works larger orchestras play were actually written for smaller groups like the Camerata. And the kids in this audience, well, just take a look. Up and coming for the Camerata is a planned recording sometime this year. Stan Carmack, News 5.
The fourth season by the Camerata is over, but their caravan continues with a show at the Liberty Community Center on Sunday at 7 and the Fountains at Greenbrier next Monday at 3:30.
Boy, it was such a perfect day today that Gary Amble decided to take his show on the road.
Yes, he did. He's live on Northwest Briar Point Drive in Kansas City with some gardening tips. Looked like earlier you had a beautiful view up there, Gary.
Oh, it is a gorgeous view. You can see the river, and we can see that the river is actually spilled out of its banks a little bit from here, but of course it's not affecting this ground. We're way up on a bluff looking down over the river. You know, Candy Sneed told me that every gardener needs a garden angel, and she's got one. Beautiful little setting back in here, but she also has some other nice things to look at, like a bird garden of all things. Take a look at this down by the trees. You can see the bird bath. I see a couple of bird houses and some plants that are set up, hanging plants, as well as plants that you put down on the ground. This is absolutely gorgeous. Well, another thing that's gorgeous is today's weather, so let's check on it right now as we run north of the river. Fairly close to where we are right now. Only a little bit west is Gladstone, and they have 74 degrees at this hour. Winds straight out of the south at about 9 miles per hour. A little bit of a breeze, but I tell you what, it's not bad. Not bad for this time of the year, certainly. Humidity level at 36%. We'll take it. And the barometer right now at 29.63. Let's move this one on. Have a peek at your Saturday's weather. A couple of air masses collide, and you guessed where, right here. And it looks like we do have a chance for some showers. Not the big, heavy rains like we saw a couple of days ago. These should be a little bit lighter in nature, but nonetheless, it's clouds and it's rain, and we're sick of it. Anyway, let's jump into that forecast for you. For tonight, we'll see the clouds begin to roll in. I can see a few to the south of us right now, but nothing that looks very threatening. 54 degrees the overnight low, so much, much warmer than it was this morning. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, scattered showers. Maybe, probably a little better than a 50-50 chance. 70 degrees, the daytime high, as winds turn to the north by late in the day. On Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, showers mainly to the south of Kansas City, and a high of 64. Now let's dry it out for next week. What do you say? On your Monday, what we're looking at is at least a little bit of sunshine and 64. Tuesday, maybe a late day shower and a cooler high of 62. And Wednesday, still a chance for sprinkles. Again, none of these look very, very heavy. But again, any rain right now is something we don't need. Well, this is Candy Sneed, and she's at least part owner of this beautiful house that we're looking at, and this is just one of your landscape sections. I was noticing this. Could you tell us a little bit about how you designed this and what types of plants you put in where? Or is it just kind of a big random thing?
Well, I like perennials, and most of these in here are perennials, and I've done all the landscaping basically myself. My children will go and help me find rocks, and we put them in, and you've got some ornamentals in here like the blue fescues, and there's some Shasta daisies and garzanias, and the little forget-me-nots are the ones that are in bloom here.
Oh yeah, these are those right here, aren't they?
Right.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Violas, and there's even a milkweed here, and we're going to let that grow to let the kids see how it blooms, because they've got some of those at the nature centers, and they really have a really neat bloom on them.
May even get some monarch butterflies to come in and put some chrysalis on those. Right. Anyway, we're all out of time. Seemed like we just got started, but we're out of time. We're going to send it back to you guys. We'll be back out here at the same garden again at 6 o'clock. We're going to go around to the other side of the house and look at some more beautiful landscaping, all done by Candy.
Gary, you mentioned about a pregnant onion.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know, but I tell you what, we're going to have Candy, the expert, tell us a little bit about that. We'll take the plant off the deck, bring it to the front of the house at 6 o'clock. We'll tell you what that pregnant onion's all about.
And we'll be sure to be out there for the delivery.
Okay.
Up next in sports, we'll go out live to Kauffman Stadium for a preview of the Royals.
William Jackson with that and more next.
The all-new Lincoln Continental is so technologically advanced, you control it with the press of a button. Equally as impressive is that with the press of a button, its exclusive 12-function memory profile system sets everything back to where it was.
Your Lincoln.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
The new Lincoln Continental with a 32-valve V8 Intech system, the perfect balance of luxury and technology.
Tonight on News 5 at 10.
Good childcare is hard enough to find for the daytime, but when you work at night, what can you do with your children? Tracy Townsend helps you find the answers.
Taking a look, you can see the road is not there, but follow the telephone poles. That's the way you find the road, because this road is completely submerged by water for more than a mile or so. The problem has been the levees that have been broken. There's been so much rain. The Missouri River has gotten up really high, and 31 levees between Kansas City and St. Louis have been broken. 24 are threatened. The latest levee break is the Woolrich-Overton. That's west of Boonville on 24. We're taking a look now at a levee that's in the Sunshine Bottoms. Let me tilt up for you, and you'll probably be able to see the levee. There's the end of Highway 13, just north of Lexington. And the real problem here is a levee that's just behind this group of trees that has been broken, causing the flooding in this area. One bit of good news, and that is that we are told by the Corps of Engineers that the river has crested here at this point, and they expect it to start falling tonight. But the real problem has been that it's gotten so high, they're hoping for a dry summer so that this soggy ground doesn't see any more rain and more flooding.
Okay, thank you, Russell, for that update. Well, who's to blame for the return of flooding in rural Missouri? Attorney General Jay Nixon says it's the Army Corps of Engineers. Nixon says the Corps gave the okay to release water upstream in Nebraska. That, says the AG, unnecessarily added a foot of water to the present Missouri River flooding. The Corps says that was just a drop compared to the massive amounts of water charging down the river.
And the watch continues in a luxury Overland Park subdivision. Weeks of downpours led to the collapse of a house yesterday at 127th and Woodson, and tonight a second house is still just barely standing. This is how it looked when one family's $400,000 dream home came tumbling down yesterday. Rains eroded fill dirt under a row of 4 homes in the Turnberry subdivision. The house next door also creaked off its foundation and is slowly falling apart on the muddy hillside. The structures were built on concrete piers that were supposed to provide added support, but it appears the heavy rain caused the saturated soil to shift, knocking the legs out from under the homes. Tonight, Overland Park officials are monitoring 2 other houses for possible damage. News 5's Krista Claus is keeping the watch on those houses this evening. Krista, has there been any change?
Well, so far, Wendell, things have been pretty stable today. Behind me, you can see the 2 houses that did collapse off of their foundations yesterday. We haven't seen any movement in that second house that we've been concerned about today. Now, the 2 houses flanking the 2 houses that fell also we have not seen any visible movement today, but I'm told the ground has been shifting here along the hillside, so that's a concern, but the sunshine here has really been helping things today. Now, meantime, crews have been here all day long trying to stabilize the situation.
Crews dug around here all day, testing the soil and measuring groundwater levels. The idea is to prevent yesterday's collapse of 2 homes from happening to other houses on this hill.
As we get more and more information, we'll continue to advise the city as to what we're finding and what steps may need to be taken quickly if there's any of the other houses are at any risk.
The owner of this home tried to minimize the risk of this kind of thing happening. Last summer, Dr. Michael Holmes hired Gary Van Riesen to help stabilize the soil behind his home. Van Riesen said the soil dropped 2 or 3 feet last summer, so he wasn't surprised by yesterday's collapse.
Watched the news last night and saw it with my own eyes, and although initially it was hard to believe, I wasn't surprised at all. In fact, I expected it.
Now, nobody knows how this will end, but they think they know how it began. And they think that's almost down here all the way to the ravine where the fill dirt started slipping yesterday morning, and it created a domino effect all the way up to the house, Wendell.
Well, that home, obviously, the one that's still standing, has to be brought down sometime. Any decision been made on that, Krista?
Well, they say they will be demolishing it, Wendell. The question is when. They don't want to create any more strain on this land here. Everything's all interrelated, and there's a big concern that if they brought a bulldozer in on top of this house, that it might create a domino effect and cause some more soil shifting for these other houses that appear to be stable at this time, Wendell.
And the furniture and everything is still in there. I guess they would like to get that out, right?
Right, yeah, that's what I'm told, that there is still furniture in there, but I don't think anybody wants to take a risk at this time.
Not just now. Thank you, Krista.
Still to come, a senior prank cost a Lansing teenager his graduation rights. We'll tell you how it happened.
Police zero in on illegal weapons on the streets of Kansas City, but some say the new program unfairly targets one group.
Well, I tell you what, gardens like this one at Candy Sneed's house just love sunshine. Going to have any sunshine for this coming weekend? I'll let you know just a few minutes ahead.
Quality. Get close. Buick quality. Get very close. Get close to the unsurpassed quality and dependability of Century. Save up to $1,000 during Buick's Qualidays. Century, traditional styling, a quiet, comfortable, and roomy interior, and acclaim for its safety and quality. See Randy Reed, Don Stein, Robert Brogdon, or Dave Cross. Rarely is such quality on sale in Kansas City. Quality. Qualidays.
Hey, Weed Warriors, this stuff takes 2 to 4 weeks to kill weeds. That's a month. Spectricide's grass and weed killer works in just 24 hours. Quick and painless. Except I'm lying on my keys. Weeds can't hide from Spectricide.
At Gary Optical, we believe that when you choose to get your glasses from us, we owe you a choice. That's why we offer over 1,000 different frames for adults and children at affordable, everyday prices. So come into Gary today and see our huge selection of fashionable eyewear that's always guaranteed to precisely match your prescription and always at our affordable, everyday price. Because at Gary, we never forget that the choice is always yours. Gary Optical. See the difference.
It's Showroom Showdown at Adams Chevy Raytown, Adams Chevy, and Adams Ford Belton. All 3 stores are ready to outduel each other during this biggest sales event of the year. The selection is better than ever. Now's the time to deal. Now's the time to save. Ford Taurus is on sale. Ford trucks are on sale. Chevy Cavaliers, Luminas, and Chevy trucks are all on sale. We need your trade, so deal now. It's over soon. Don't miss Showroom Showdown. See Adams Chevy Raytown, Adams Chevy Belton, or Adams Ford Belton.
Mark's Rugs in the Jones store at Metcalf South has a fresh selection of handmade rugs waiting for you. No need to haggle. Mark just lowered all his prices. The Jones store, Metcalf South.
News 5 at 6 continues now with Wendell Anschutz and Tracy Townsend.
The valedictorian of this year's senior class at Lansing High School will not be allowed to go to his graduation tomorrow or give the traditional farewell speech. Brian Smith served as editor-in-chief of the school newspaper. Today, he went to federal court in Kansas City, Kansas to block his suspension from school. School officials say he allowed an article to appear last week that contained a phrase using the F word. The obscenity was spelled out by putting together the first letter of the first word in each paragraph. Today, Brian lost his battle.
It's just a minor little thing, insignificant thing. It's a number of things happened at the school this year, and that I don't think deserved me losing my graduation and all the activities preceding it and not being able to address my fellow classmates as valedictorian.
Are you suggesting that you're be making an example of?
Yes. I think that's the whole purpose behind this, was to make an example of me and to tell the students the power of the principal.
The school district agrees that they were trying to send a message, but doesn't consider the incident minor.
We're very pleased with the judge's decision, and we hope that a message is sent to other students, not only in this district, but maybe elsewhere.
The school district also suspended 2 other students charged with actually writing the article entitled The Joys of Graduation.
Kansas City police are meeting with supporters and critics at this hour. The issue is a new so-called gun suppression program. It's a crackdown on weapons in a high-crime corridor along both sides of Prospect. 21 extra officers were added just for that purpose. And the controversy is over the question of whether police are using a profile to stop suspects. News 5's Reed Black reports.
I wouldn't call it a profile.
Even though the top brass have been quoted in the paper referring to the profile, the officers who actually enforce the gun suppression program say they have no profile. They're just looking for suspicious behavior.
A typical suspicious activity would be several people drinking in public on the corner of a liquor store.
As we rode with Officer Bill Warren today, he saw nothing suspicious about the people up ahead.
Well, there's a lot of kids that hang up here, but no, these are young kids. Hey, put your hands up here on. Make sure you have no guns on you, nothing.
but the occupants of this car were deemed suspicious.
The reason we stopped the car, our attention was drawn to it. First of all, they didn't have a front license plate on it, and when we got in behind the car, the rear license plate was checked, didn't go to this car.
The search for weapons yielded nothing, and the men were released, even though someone had attached a fake homemade renewal sticker to the license.
It was green construction paper filled in with black pen.
The police captain who runs the program says they don't have a profile. They're not after a certain age group, a certain race, or people driving a certain kind of car. But tell that to these gentlemen. What do you figure the profile is?
Black males, young, with a gold chain. It can be fat, it can be small, with a nice car. It's like we don't drive nice cars. We can't wear gold chains. We can't wear a certain color. Now,
they fear indiscriminate searches of law-abiding people, but others note the program is yielding guns and say